Please welcome to the stage AWS Canada Public Sector Country Leader, Régent Bourgault. Bienvenue sur la scène, Régent Bourgault, chef du secteur public d'AWS Canada.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Nous sommes très heureux de vous voir si nombreux aujourd'hui. With your presence today and the energy in this room, definitely you just demonstrated the strong interest of Canada for digital innovation and the AWS cloud. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we're gathered today on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe Nation. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the Remembrance Day 2018. The pin you see there is the new digital puppy that were released on Friday by the Royal Canadian Legion. I think they deserve a round of applause. So I thought it was good to talk about that because today you can go on the web, you can basically download your home puppy and make a donation, and you can share on social media. We are so excited to be here today. This is 1 year of making, and you basically demonstrated that this is a very key event for you. We are totally overwhelmed by the enthusiasm for the summit. We have more than 1,000 people registered today to attend. Alexa, remind me why we're all here today.
Hello, Ray-Jean. Thank you for asking. We are here today to welcome our Canadian customers and partners to our first ever AWS Public Sector Summit in Ottawa. Today will be full of learning opportunities for everyone, and we are excited to hear directly from our AWS customers about how cloud adoption has changed the way they do business.
Thank you, Alexa. As Alexa said, this is a full day of teaching and learning. I encourage you to seize the chance to learn as much as possible and network with colleagues. I also would like to thank our platinum sponsor, Trend Micro. Trend Micro has offered incredible support throughout the entire year for all our global summit. Thank you very much. I also would like to thank our gold sponsor, GHC Technology and Palo Alto Networks. And the other one, I want to thank all the other silver sponsors that are listed here. These sponsors have made this journey possible. Many of our sponsors have a booth on the other side of the expo hall, so I encourage you to go there today and meet with them. This is a quick look at the rest of the day. We already had two sessions this morning on 3 different tracks. Following the keynote, you can continue to explore sessions among 3 tracks: technical, management, and spotlight. Alexa, can you tell us some of the interesting sessions?
Ray-Jean, there are so many good sessions to choose from. May I recommend building the organization of the future with machine learning, or digital transformation, empowering people to adapt to the cloud, delivered in English and French.
Merci, Alexa. And don't miss tonight the reception, which will be held at the expo hall. Now, I have the pleasure to kick off today's keynote presentation. Let's get started.
Alexa, can you please introduce our keynote speaker?
It would be my pleasure. Please welcome to the stage, Vice President Worldwide Public Sector, Amazon Web Services, Teresa Carlson.
Hey guys, this is awesome. So welcome to our first ever Public Sector Summit here in Canada. It's so exciting. And by the way, we have this room filled and another room filled. So we're going to have to get a bigger hotel, I think, next year for this. So it's really exciting to be here. And I don't always completely stick to what I'm supposed to say out of the gate. So I'm just going to kind of say it's really fun, exciting. I was here almost 2 years ago. And to see all of our partners and what's kind of happening around the world and having Canada come into the fold of really driving and utilizing cloud computing is pretty exciting. So really, really happy to be here today. And we have attendance across all the country and outside of Canada, which is kind of cool. And it's really beautiful to be here in Ottawa. It's a little bit chilly, but beautiful. And you had snow, so that was fun. No, I think it was fun, honestly. But before we begin, I thought we could ask Alexa to share some of the facts about our host city.
I'd be happy to. Teresa, Ottawa is the capital city of Canada and the fourth largest city in the country. It's also a high-tech hub and is home to more than 70,000 high-tech jobs.
Wow, that's a lot. So that's great, Alexa. So workforce is completely really important, and we're going to talk about workforce in my presentation and a little bit later to both Canada, but in general with technology. Alexa, is there anything else you want to share?
Yes. The best hockey team plays right down the street, and I'm feeling optimistic about the Sens' chance of bringing home the cup.
I don't know about that, Alexa. I'm a Capitals fan, so sorry, guys. Sorry, that's where we'll have to differ. I'm a huge Caps fan. So thank you, Alexa. I really do kind of feel good about the team's chances, I guess. So if it's not Caps, I'll promise I'll root for the Senators. How about that? So more than just a bit of fun, I think this is actually a great example of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And Alexa really kind of demonstrates the innovation that AWS can provide, which is a lot of fun. How many of you in the room have an Alexa? A few? Okay, fantastic. So again, thank you, merci, for having me here today and our team. And just it's really, again, fun and exciting to see the room filled and all the possibilities that we're going to share together. So let's start off by talking about innovation. And since our founding in 2006, we've really been driving a whole generation of builders. And I think more than ever, at any point ever within technology, cloud computing really allows for builders to see a vision and grow whatever their solution or mission is that they're looking to do, and really motivates. If you look at all the startups around the world, it really motivates a generation of builders. And you're really part of a fast-growing and exciting AWS community now, where we have millions of active customers every day around the world. And growing. And within the public sector business itself, we have thousands of government customers and ministries, educational institutions, not-for-profits around the world. And this is really fun for me because I started our public sector business almost 8 years ago, December 2010. And I can tell you, we didn't have many logos on that slide. And it's really grown, and we're seeing customers now in hundreds of countries around the world really pick up and utilize cloud computing, and this is just a few. And within Canada itself, we have tens of thousands of customers now using AWS in Canada, and these range from small startups to enterprises and to now government ministries within Canada. And it's really, you're going to hear from some of our Canadian customers today and hear about what they're doing. And again, I have to tell you all, for me, when I was here in launching our region, just a couple of years ago. This is exciting because we're seeing our customers across Canada really grow with our cloud region now here available to you every day. And we continue to invest in Canada's cloud future, which is really important because when you bring AWS into a region, we've got to make sure we're there with you, investing in your future. And we've actually created more than 7,000 full-time jobs here in Canada, from British Columbia through Manitoba and Quebec. And we have tech hubs now in Toronto and Vancouver, where teams are doing some of the most current and advanced work kind of on global projects. And of course, we also have our AWS infrastructure region in the Montreal area that we launched again in 2016. Was anybody here for that launch? Okay, a few people. We did this in 2 cities. Werner Vogels was in one city and I was in another. And I tell everybody I beat Werner to the punch because I actually announced it before he did in his keynote. So I felt kind of excited that I got to announce the Canada region first. And I remember being here before that and us talking about the opportunity to create jobs. And I think it's coming to fruition, just the number of jobs that we are actually creating across the region. And we're also excited for the planned launch of VMware within the Canada region here in early 2019. And then also we're really investing heavily in building a network of partners across Canada, which you're going to hear about more. But again, some of the early ones who are sponsoring this program and are here with us kind of across the world. So not only is it kind of local partners, but we're also bringing a network of global partners into Canada. And that's what you want because that stimulates the economy and really drives economic development and new jobs creation when we bring our other partners along with us. Now, modernizing citizen services. One of the things that I hear around the world is that citizens now continually want the same set of services and offerings that they get every day in their daily life, driven and provided to them with government as well. And I think this is a good example of how a provincial government is using AWS. So the government of Ontario used AWS to develop a website, a new website, ontario.ca, and they designed and deployed this. And what they did, they took advantage of the cloud and what cloud brought to them to be able to build at scale for a fraction of the cost with great agility while improving their security and resiliency at the same time. And then they wanted quick accessibility to that website. And what they did that was really important is with the team that built this out, they found that they could experiment in an affordable way and try new things. So the kind of that fail fast and recover fast without spending a lot of money. And they wanted to do that really quickly and innovate along with their peers in the commercial side. And again, I think what you generally see is that within the government sector, they're not always as fast and agile as you get with a startup, and that's what cloud kind of allowed them to do. And why does this story matter? Well, it matters because it was kind of early to show a sign of what's actually possible with cloud computing as a country starts to embrace that. And then really kind of fun is around the world, what started happening in about 2011 is we started to get these cloud-first policies. The U.S. was one of the first to do this, and then you started seeing this kind of happening. And now we're excited that Canada has actually joined this group, and you've announced your cloud-first policy earlier this year in 2018. And this is really, these kind of policies are truly essential because what you see when you go around the world is unless the ministries have something that they can kind of take advantage of to say we're being given permission to go ahead and utilize cloud computing and look at it in ways to really solve the mission problems that they have and build that culture of change, they'll kind of hold back because they're waiting a bit on permission. So it's exciting that we're seeing you guys really join a force of other countries like the UK, which I shared a story earlier at a partner breakfast this morning that the UK actually, we launched a cloud in the UK based on government feedback to us, that they really wanted to innovate faster. And we've seen the UK move. They have essentially a cloud native policy where that they go cloud first, always, unless there's a reason you can actually tell them not to. So we're seeing a lot of the government go all in, and the UK of Justice just announced plans to move everything they have from commercial into the commercial cloud. And with smart and effective policies like this, really you will have not only the opportunity, but the ability through policy and kind of mandate to do this much faster. And it's very exciting to see Canada do that, because you have your own data sovereignty, you have your own region, and now you have the skills and tools capability to be able to do this. Now, let's talk about skills for just a second. Another important step in moving forward when it comes to cloud computing is actually having the skills required. And when I go around the world, believe it or not, the first thing I almost hear from every customer I meet with is help us with the skills that we actually need to do cloud computing, because it's a new set. Universities are really just getting going, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute, on actually providing the skills necessary for cloud. And I tell all my customers, look, there's no silly question. The technical folks need to be trained and retrained, and you've got to make sure within your universities and high schools that they're getting the right skills for digital modernization and really to be able to go out and get the jobs that are needed. And so today I'm really thrilled to announce another training program that is being launched with the Canadian, along with the Canadian Digital Academy, called AWS DigiGov. And AWS DigiGov is going to provide a training program that's going to teach cloud computing concepts, security and compliance, and common use cases for AWS Cloud. And this is really important because out of the gate, you want to be able to demonstrate what are use cases, just get going. There's a saying we have at AWS that there's no compression algorithm for experience. So this is really about getting the experience that you need in order to get going in cloud. And we created this training in partnership with the University of Ottawa Professional Development Institute, and we've designed it to complement the Canadian Digital Academy. So they'll work in complementary together. And we're going to be holding, and I heard it was sold out. The team told me like we're at capacity. The first 2-day training in November, and we're going to launch ongoing in January. But I think the first training's already at capacity. Yeah, I'm seeing head nods. So make sure you visit the Professional Development Institute site to learn more. That's right up here. So we're excited about that because, again, this is a really great starting point. Now, our next speaker is a true leader who's building a culture of innovation across the government of Canada. In his role as the first federal minister of digital government, he's championed initiatives like we just talked about on the Canadian Digital Academy, and he's collaborated across all of government to find new and innovative ways that cloud can really deliver on the mission for here in Canada. So I think Alexa's probably better at announcing our next speaker. So who's up, Alexa?
Please welcome the Honourable Scott Bryson, President of the Treasury Board of Canada and Minister of Digital Government.
Scott, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Alexa, for that introduction. Alexa, you should feel right at home here in Canada, because Canada is a global leader in ethical AI. That's for a number of reasons. We've got, of course, strong rule of law and legal framework. Historically, Canada has been a leader in and a pioneer in AI research. Plus, we've got a remarkably diverse, talented, and educated peoples here in Canada, and wonderful universities and centers of excellence in research. For those reasons, I believe Canada will be a big leader in AI, an industry that McKinsey estimates will be a $20 trillion industry within a decade. And in fact, as a government, we are using AI to serve our citizens better. And I'm going to get back to that in a couple minutes, but I want to start on a slightly philosophical note this morning. Have you ever wondered what happens after you die? Well, in Canada, the government gets a fax. Now, my daughters are 4 years old, twins, Rose and Claire. They don't even know what a fax is, but they do know an iPad. And often on weekends when I'm cooking them breakfast, I'll play something on my iPad to entertain them. And a few months back on a Saturday morning, I played for them something from my childhood, The Sound of Music. You know, So Long, Farewell, and Do, Re, Mi. Well, after about 40 seconds, I suddenly heard Paw Patrol, whenever you're in trouble. Rose and Claire had swiped away Julie Andrews and had swiped in their favorite kids show. So if Apple can design something so intuitive that 4-year-olds can find exactly what they want in about 40 seconds, why is it that governments still build websites that grown-ups can't figure out? Government exists to improve the lives of people. And digital gives us more power to do that than we've ever had before. And it's not simply providing better government services to citizens. It's actually about rebooting the relationship between government and citizens, giving government the ability to listen to people, to understand people's needs better, and to fulfill their needs better than ever before. Now, any organization today, business or government, really needs to understand its core purpose. Again, for government, our core purpose is to improve the lives of people. Blockbuster thought its core purpose was to make it easy to pick up videos in your neighborhood. Netflix, on the other hand, understood that what people really wanted was entertainment at their fingertips, and they didn't care how it got there. So Netflix actually started off delivering videos right to your door. So when digital delivery changed the game, Netflix was ready. Blockbuster wasn't even on the field. We can't be a Blockbuster government serving a Netflix citizenry. Now, Netflix had an advantage. It was a startup. Government is not a startup. So how can we create that digital startup mindset within government? Well, sometimes really big successes start with really, really big failures. On October 1st, 2013, the US government launched Obamacare. On that day, 4.7 million Americans tried to register on the website healthcare.gov. Only 6 people successfully registered. It was one of the biggest government IT screw-ups in history. I am so glad that the government of Canada never has IT screw-ups. President Obama, in his response, adhered to the adage, you never waste a good crisis. He actually created a digital startup right inside the US government, 18SF, and US Government Digital Services was launched. Not just to tackle big IT problems, but to fundamentally change the way government served citizens through digital. Similar units have been set up in the UK, Australia, Ontario, more recently the Government of Canada. In fact, Aaron Snow, who is our director of the Canadian Government Digital Services, was actually President Obama's director of the US Government Digital Services. And he moved with his family to Ottawa in February, which shows the degree to which he's committed to this job. So what do these digital services units in government have in common? Well, they bring into government the startup digital mindset. And there's basically 3 principles to this. Number 1, you focus relentlessly on the user, and the user actually helping shape the services they receive. Number 2, you got to be agile and iterative. Try new things. If they fail, pull the plug. If they succeed, you can scale them and try them elsewhere. Number 3, working in the open. The more you share, the more you gain. I want to start with that first one, and that is being relentlessly focused on user needs. Amazon doesn't just take the transaction of buying something and move it online. What they do is they pay attention to you. They listen to you. And they do that to understand your needs better, so that the next time you buy something, they can serve you better. Why can't government do that? Why is it that when you renew your passport, you can't get the same quality of service from your government that you've come to expect from Amazon when you buy something? The second point that's really important is to be agile and iterative. And in fact, our cloud-first strategy and policy as a government enables departments and agencies to be more agile and iterative, to try new things. Instead of 250-page proposals, we want to actually put working prototypes in the hands of public servants and citizens so that they can test them. And they can actually shape the services that ultimately they receive. If they fail, pull the plug. If they succeed, again, we can scale them to other parts of government. The third area that's really important is to work in the open. Whose life today was improved by open government data? Well, if you used a weather app this morning, or if you Googled a destination, those apps are actually powered by open government data. And what's really cool, what's really powerful, is when you combine open data with open source, and you get smart people inside government and outside of government sharing data and tools and code, all focused on improving people's lives. That power of open innovation wasn't even available to us less than a decade ago. So those are the principles, the three principles that define the modern digital mindset that is increasingly informing what we do as a government. So what does that mean in terms of the future, in terms of how we serve Canadians? Well, for one thing, when you die, the funeral director will no longer have to fax your death notice to the Government of Canada. Now, I think we should be able to fix that right away. But I think we should be even more ambitious. I think we should aspire to provide great digital services to Canadians while they're still living. In fact, digital is actually helping us save lives. Health Canada, our National Department of Health, is using open data, working with other governments now collaboratively, to help predict and prepare for the outbreaks of infectious diseases earlier. We're doing that by sharing information like hospital emergency room trends, travel patterns, weather patterns, again, to be able to provide notices earlier and help save people's lives. And Health Canada is also using AI to help save kids' lives. We do that by monitoring public social media posts from parents. When parents complain about a toy breaking or a game malfunctioning, we can take note. But if a trend develops around a particular toy or game and danger it represents to kids, we can actually contact the manufacturer even before an official complaint, again, to help save kids' lives. So we've talked about digital at the end of your life. We've talked about digital saving your life. What about digital just making life better? And I ask you to look ahead at a digitally enabled government services future in Canada, where you no longer have to wait for a government service, where in most cases you don't even have to apply because you're going to be automatically enrolled, where smart people inside and outside of government are working together, all focused on improving your life, maybe even saving your life, where services you have yet to even imagine become available at your fingertips because government exists to improve the lives of people, and there really ought to be an app for that. Thank you very much. Great stuff, great stuff. Great stuff, thanks very much.
That was awesome. That was fantastic. As I'm stuck on here. Okay, I'm stuck to myself. There we go. That was awesome. So I have to tell Scott that healthcare.gov was not running on AWS at the time they had those issues. Today, it is running on AWS. And has anybody seen any more issues? None. And I remember getting that call on New Year's Day. It's, I guess, 4 years ago now when that happened, longer. And when they had set up this new digital service, and it was a company out of Silicon Valley, and they said, hey, we use AWS. We were told to call you. You run the public sector business. And we want to use AWS, but we've been told we didn't have the security stuff. And we don't know what they mean by the security stuff. So we proceeded, and we were already working with Health and Human Services. They were one of our large customers at AWS already. So we began to work with them and our partner Accenture and moved all that. We still work with them today. We've added new features, and we really improved so much with that site very quickly. And now we have a great partnership also with the digital services in the U.S. But I love that he told that story. It was really great. So thank you again. And I think I loved his last slide up there, which is really important, how what government can do really to work with citizens and save lives. And you shouldn't wait till you're dead, right? I think that was his point. Should have happened before. So also, government here in Canada and around the world, of course, is not the only place that's driving digital transformation utilizing the AWS cloud. We're also seeing incredible innovations with education and educators here in Canada. And just some really kind of cool things going on in teaching and learning and really removing those barriers around that. And one of our partners and customers, D2L, over the past 2 years has undertaken a complete cloud transformation with AWS as their strategic partner in driving this program. And like many education providers, D2L has something called Brightspace Learning Platform. And that has, like a lot of educational companies, peaks and valleys. I've seen this kind of around the world because you have these peaks and valleys based on when students come to school, when they're enrolling, summer sort of downtime, and it really follows this academic calendar. And as teachers and students go back to school in the fall, D2L, of course, has very high usage on their Brightspace platform. So they nearly doubled their all-time record for number of logins in a single day this last year. And they did all that while maintaining a 99.9% availability running on AWS. So that is, again, while I'll tell you, under my team has education tech companies as part of our portfolio. And it's the one thing I see with education companies. They're kind of popping up all around the world. We call them ed techs because there's so many new innovations happening in the education space. But if they're going to be an ed tech, if they're going to actually use digital, they need to be able to do that through a platform that allows for these really high peaks and valleys within their business. And I'm particularly excited to the work that AWS has been doing in the higher education space. I talked about this earlier. There's tens of thousands of jobs around the world in cloud computing. All you have to do is go on the web and search jobs for cloud computing. I mean, they're everywhere. And as I shared earlier, it's one of the first things our customers tell me is, I need the skills, help me get the skills for the jobs that are required in cloud computing. And as the largest cloud computing provider in the world, we are excited to have the responsibility to really help drive this educational opportunity and help it really move faster. And the British Columbia Institute of Technology was actually an early pioneer in this effort here in Canada, kind of looking at how they would take and utilize cloud computing curriculum. I won't go into all the programs that we have today, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the newer things that have just happened this last year. And in January 2017, the school expanded, BCIT expanded their early pioneer work to do a cloud computing option. Basically what that is, students can learn on the AWS platform at BCIT, and they're going to learn the most relevant cloud skills. Now, what I'd really love, and I'm going to challenge BCIT to actually go ahead and do a certification, a true certification and a degree. Because this year we announced at the AWS Public Sector Summit, NOVA, Northern Virginia Community College, worked with us in conjunction to actually take the curriculum. They hired a provost, and they have a 2-year cloud associate's degree, the first ever. So you can actually get a cloud associate's degree. They did that. Then, of course, in the U.S., you've got the East Coast and the West Coast. I'm sure you guys have your battles here in Canada, probably, right, in parts of areas. Well, on the East Coast and the West Coast, there's always lots of songs about this. So then the West Coast, Santa Monica Community College kind of took the lead, And now they created something called the California Cloud Workforce, because in California, they see such an opportunity for cloud skills. They actually came together, and so we announced this new cloud computing certificate through these 40 community colleges and high schools that they brought together. So this is kind of the first in the world to kind of be regionally recognized. So we're starting to see real thought leaders come together, and look, this is not easy. I really appreciated what California did, because they brought all these groups together. So now next year, I'm hoping Canada has your own thing that you've come together, because I really do think it's such an opportunity for new skills. And these are high-paying job skills. And also from a diversity perspective, huge opportunities for diversity across the board in these kind of skills. So again, this is really exciting. 3 great groups doing amazing things to really lean in on cloud computing skills. And students in Canada will also have the benefit of an exciting new initiative at AWS and Athabasca University in Alberta. And they are going to do the first post-secondary, they're the first post-secondary institution here in Canada to leverage the AWS infrastructure and formally collaborate on a new educational program driving digital transformation, which is also really exciting. Again, a university, and they themselves are undergoing a 5-year digital transformation of the university on a strategy to really modernize everything they're doing. And again, we are seeing forward-leaning universities now starting to do this. At Arizona, the 2 AUs, the Arizona University in the U.S. is doing something with Alexifying their entire campus. So we're starting to see some universities really say, what do we need to do to represent and really think about what our students need to be successful in their careers for tomorrow? So, and part of what they're doing is they're going to, as they modernize, they have a strategy to move all their key applications to AWS. And we're working with them right now on an architecture that's going to support that. So congratulations to AU and all the work that they're doing right now to go through their transformation. And our next speaker is here to share more about AU's efforts and what they're going to do and today's announcement. And Alexa, can you help me introduce our next speaker?
Please welcome Jennifer Griffin Schaefer, Vice President of IT and CIO, Athabasca University.
Yay, Jennifer!
Right on. Thank you. Greetings from Treaty 6 land in northern Alberta. And I'd also like to recognize we are gathered here on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I'm here to tell you a story about how Athabasca University is working with AWS to not only create the university of 50 years from now, today, but also how we are helping to diversify Alberta's economy by giving our talented citizens the entrepreneurial and innovative training they need to thrive. For those of you who may not heard of Athabasca University, or AU, we are Canada's only 100% open and online comprehensive academic research university offering learning experiences up through and including online PhDs. Currently at more than 40,000 learners from every province and around the world, AU is accredited by the Government of Alberta and by Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools in the United States. So how did that all begin? In 1970, a group of Alberta innovators opened North America's very first open distance education university. Their big dream was to create a university for the rest of us university misfits, for those of us located in remote rural communities who couldn't get to bricks and mortar universities in the big cities, for those of us who had no formal training or test scores to prove we were worthy of traditional university. For those of us who were ambitious, following our dreams while we worked, gave birth, fed our family, took care of our elders. Over the next 20 years that followed in the pre-internet era, Athabasca University became the world leader in distance education, with learners back then in the 70s eagerly awaiting their book-in-a-box learning and phone calls with their tutors. Then, in 1995, AU became the first university in the world to offer an online MBA degree. That disruption in 1995 started the online learning revolution that 17 years later would result in the first massive open online course companies of 2012 and the slow, reluctant creation by traditional bricks and mortar universities we're starting to see today. So today, AU's 40,000 plus learners are from every Canadian province and over 87 countries. And here's a fun fact for this Ottawa audience. We have more learners located here in Ontario taking AU courses and degrees than those located even in Alberta. So who are Athabasca University's learners? Our learning population is quite a contrast to learners at traditional bricks and mortar universities. 83% of our learners are working while learning. 67% of our learners are female. 50% of our learners are also supporting children, and most profoundly to Canada's present and future, 70% of our learners are the first person in their family to complete a university degree. So now it's 2018, and we're reinventing ourselves again, imagining the art of the possible that advanced technology gives us. AU is imagining how we will move beyond place, move beyond open, move beyond now, and move beyond the norm. AWS is key to our reinvention in imagining and building the Athabasca University of the next 50 years. The core of AU's transformation is guided by collaborating with our community leaders, like our Treaty 6 Grand Chief Wilton Littlechild and our elder, Maria Campbell. We are transforming lives and transforming communities with a passionate commitment to the right of every learner to achieve the highest quality Canadian online university education, no matter where they live or what challenges they face. For our digital transformation, we're working with AWS in 7 key areas to transform Athabasca University, our workforce talent, and our learners' experience. 1, we began with a huge shift. We moved our current learning management system of hundreds of online courses, programs, and degrees to the AWS cloud. This move immediately created better, secure online access and reliability for our students across Canada and the world. 2, we are now in the process of reinventing our architecture to implement a more robust shared security model that can scale and easily serve 1 million learners or more. 3, we have over 850 online courses today that now can be augmented or deconstructed and reconstructed into a variety of additional learning experiences. We plan to utilize AWS Sumerian to integrate virtual reality and augmented reality, creating hands-on learning experiences that support our asynchronous text-based digital learning. 4, we want to give birth to learning that learns from itself by applying AWS machine learning and artificial intelligence to all learner interactions with our learning, our academic services, and our student supports. 5, well, we will create R&D within the online learning ecosystem itself, using AWS flexibility and its library of tools and products, allowing professors and students to co-experiment with deeper learning interactions, then scale successful experiments across the entire ecosystem on our AWS cloud backbone. 6, we are building at scale personalized learning pathways for learners from ages 14 to 99 and beyond, where their journey can follow them wherever they go. And finally, those focus areas will lead us over time to our key focus, 7, the creation of an Athabasca University augmented intelligence learning partner who is your mentor, your coach, and companion in learning for your lifetime. A companion who, when powered by AWS, is in your car, on your Kindle, listening from your Echo, and present wherever you are. Through these 7 key areas, AU and AWS are creating stability for our systems, financial sustainability as we scale up and down based on need, and innovative opportunities for our students, staff, faculty, and researchers. The AU transformation for our learners would not be possible without reciprocal investment in our communities. So I'd like to give you 3 takeaways to consider for your digital transformation journey. Takeaway 1, create a purposeful design of training to further economic diversification potential with the people who live in your communities now. Athabasca University is elevating economic and social prosperity in Alberta by investing in AWS training for every single employee, over 300 faculty members and staff, inviting them to all AWS business and technical essentials trainings focused on their potential as researchers, professors, instructors, or as operations, administrative, and technical staff, supporting their AWS associate through to professional certifications. We will provide learners, including our learners at our high school and college partners, AWS training, curriculum, and credits that AWS Educate and AWS Academy provide access to. Takeaway 2 is enable your edges. In our case, our professors. We are encouraging our Canada-wide faculty to dream the impossible again in creating new innovation in online learning using AWS tools. Our professors are our storytellers. They are envisioning how learning will happen 50 years from now. Together, they're creating a shared vision of a new learning framework for the entire academy and all its programs. As IT, my role is to deeply listen at their side. They have the intuition for where online learning pedagogy needs to go. It's up to us in IT to enable it. Finally, takeaway 3 is we are asking our learners to be our teachers. Our purposeful collaborative partnerships with our Students' Union and Graduate Students Association will result in our learners defining their user experience, not us defining it for them. Learners will have direct feedback channels into our learning product and platform development. And collectively, through their interactions data, our learners are giving us insight into how we can keep improving learning and learning services over their lifetime from ages 14 to 99 and beyond. So with Athabasca University's imagining and AWS's engineering, together we are imagineering the future of university education for learners wherever they are, transforming communities, transforming lives in Canada and the world. Thank you. Another high five.
Thank you. I'm going to go do another degree after listening to Jennifer. Thank you. That's really exciting. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to share. One is, as I came into Ottawa yesterday, I noticed how amazing your global entry program was. It was easy. I think that's a really great example of great citizen services and international experience of coming in. And those kind of things, you can build on those. You can work with students to teach those things, come up with new ideas and how you're moving forward. So just, I think what Jennifer provided were great recommendations on a way to move forward and really replicate the training. So I really look forward to seeing what you guys are doing. Now, I'm going to introduce, or Alexa's probably going to introduce the next speaker. But before I do, this will be my last few minutes with you. And I wanted just to share a couple of things with you. You know, as I go around the world and I get the opportunity, I've had the unique and amazing experience in starting this AWS public sector business 10 years ago, or 8 years ago with 2 people. And now I have thousands of people around the world and seeing how this business is growing because of our customer demand. And I wanted to take a minute and just share that I think Canada really has an amazing opportunity to move forward fast. You know, you can experiment, you have your own region here, and there's always a lot of naysayers on why you can't use cloud and why you can't take advantage of it. But I can tell you, I was part of an old school model of selling software into government, and seeing the ability for my customers to innovate right now is unbelievable. Technology is cool and fun again, but not just cool and fun, it's solving real problems fast. The ability to fail fast, which is usually kind of a taboo word in government because nobody wants any failures, but you have the opportunity to try small, fail and recover, learn what doesn't work without being on the cover of the front page with President Obama talking about what didn't work. But the ability to try and move forward really fast, and that's what we're seeing our customers do in every segment without spending a lot of money. The second thing is so many governments use 80% plus of their entire IT budget on maintaining their systems. That does not allow you to innovate. That does not allow you to try and really create new mission tools and technologies. So that's another fantastic reason. You can use a free tier. You can go out and try without spending a lot of money and then gradually reducing your maintaining budget while doing innovation on your budget. And it's one of the reasons, believe it or not, at AWS, people are like, well, why do you reduce prices? Why are you, well, we reduce prices for a couple of reasons. One, under no pressure, when we get economies of scale, we reduce the prices so we can give it back to you. But believe it or not, the second reason we do this is we believe in innovation. We want innovation ourselves at Amazon. And we believe that if prices are reduced, that allows you to try new tools. So generally, I never really see anybody around the world saying, I'm spending less on technology or IT. And that's not because every day, everything around us has information technology. But what it allows you to do is try new tools and be able to move and validate and look. And if you just look at things which you'll learn more about today on machine learning, our whole platform of machine learning and AI, the reason that we have the platform that we have is so that you can take advantage of all the protocols that are coming up in real time. Because what is something today you may not have tomorrow, we may have a new protocol, and in a month they'll have 1 million users that you want to take advantage of algorithms and tools that are out there. So I tell you that because the world of technology is not where it was even 5 years ago. As a government, as an educational institution, as a not-for-profit, you need to be able to take advantage of all these tools. So those are my parting thoughts. And with that, I'll say thank you so much for having me up here today. It's been an honor to be back in Canada. I'm going to spend a couple of days with customers and hear what you have to say. So please give us your feedback over the next day or so, what you think about our summit, how we can improve it and make it more friendly for you as a customer and a partner. And before I say that, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say, Alexa, who's our next speaker coming up who's going to deep dive into some of our services for you?
Please welcome Jeff Kratz, Director, Latin America, Canada, and the Caribbean, Amazon Web Services.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Alexa. My name is Jeff Kratz, and it's an absolute privilege to look after our Latin America, Canada, and Caribbean business. And as Teresa and Minister Bryson went ahead and shared, there are so many reasons why we see governments, education, universities like Athabasca and others, nonprofits and more, going towards cloud computing. And Teresa hit on a couple of the core elements. One is the agility to go ahead and provision the resources that you need right now so that you can innovate faster. Spin up, spin down, learn from getting engaged with the latest technologies available. This is a core area that the province of Ontario really looked at as they were going ahead and starting their cloud migration. Second, as Teresa mentioned, is on the cost savings. We're not done going ahead and reducing costs. We've done that 67 times, but it's not only reducing the costs, but enabling you to trade CapEx for OpEx, to go ahead and only pay for what you're actually using. After all, it's the students' money or the citizens' money that's there. Last but not least is also deploying globally. And you may be thinking for a moment, deploying globally? Why would a government want to go ahead and deploy globally? Well, take the government of Mexico, for instance, who is trying to drive tourism. They wanted to provide a better user experience for those in Europe. So they went ahead and redesigned their whole main website, able to drive campaigns, but to move that information, those programs, to our AWS region in Ireland, thus providing a better user experience to drive economic benefit into the country, tourism being a core area. Now, at the core of all of our services is security. It's an area that we go ahead and continue to work relentlessly on behalf of millions of active customers. In fact, when we think about AWS's scale, we're able to invest in security for our customers more than many large organizations couldn't do on their own. The exciting part about security is that we're not only providing new tools and resources there, but because so much is API driven, you can automate the security for your organization. You're able to go ahead and take that information not only to protect the data, but to monitor it proactively. A core part of security as well is about data privacy. As we are very vigilant on security, we are equally vigilant as we think about the privacy of our customers' data. It's the customer's data, it's not ours. It's your decision which region you wish to go ahead and place your information. And we don't move it as other cloud providers do. If you go ahead and put your data in the Montreal region, that's where it stays. And from that perspective, we not only go ahead and ensure that, but we also work with governments around the globe, especially here in Canada, to make sure that AWS has these certifications at the international level, provincial, federal, and more. We're fully compliant, for instance, on the international policy level with GDPR, and we're constantly working with governments so that they can better understand how the government can modernize, can innovate, still wrapped completely with security. It's that innovation, that continues to inspire us every day as we go ahead and listen to our customers. And if we think back to 2008, when we launched 24 major updates, services, or enhancement, to now last year, over 1,400 new services that you can go ahead and use. As Teresa mentioned, here in the Montreal region, we've more than doubled the services that we had 2 years ago. In so many ways, we're just getting started with that innovation. Now, it may look at this slide and say, okay, but why do you care about the pace of innovation? Well, it's really from two ways that I kind of think about it. One is that you're helping go ahead and drive this innovation. Over 90% of what we develop is driven specifically by customer feedback from customers in Singapore and Stockholm and Santiago and more. It's not only that, but it's also a way, when you think about our pace of innovation, can also be your pace of innovation into brand new exciting areas like artificial intelligence, machine learning, as an example. One of the fastest growing areas that now, because of cloud computing, the potential has become unleashed. You can load up as much data as you want. You can run machine learning processes with compute faster to go ahead and learn, innovate, then try again, learn, and get that flywheel going quickly. And the offerings on elements like machine learning break into multiple different areas. You may, for instance, be very comfortable with machine learning. And we have a variety of frameworks now that you can go ahead and plug into, because we're really trying to democratize machine learning for developers, putting the tools, the resources, the learnings into the hands of developers globally to now be able to take advantage of machine learning. You may be very familiar with it from a frameworks perspective. You may have been doing some work, and that's where we've got a variety of platforms like SageMaker, who soon will be coming to the Montreal region, or you may just be getting started. You may just be getting started with some of the machine learning, and that's why we have a variety of different application services, such as Poly, Transcribe, Translate, and others, that you can go ahead and plug into in a variety of different ways. And this is changing the way now that research is doing. It's changing the way governments, education institutions, and even nonprofits are going ahead and rethinking their mission. Prior to coming up to Ottawa, I had the delight of spending time down in Brazil. And I got to go ahead and visit one of our nonprofits, FIDI, while I was in Sao Paulo. FIDI is a nonprofit organization whose charter is to go ahead and provide out to the rural communities predominantly, but also those in the major metropolitan area, remote healthcare diagnostics. On average, in their 24/7, 365-day operation, they provide additional medical examinations on over 5 million mammograms, radio, x-rays, and more. And in fact, each month, they go ahead and provide live additional support to rural doctors performing a variety of different exams, 120,000 per month, live. Giant war room they have with doctors all looking at multiple monitors. But during their time, they've been leveraging AWS not only to provide that remote diagnostic care, helping increase patient care and health, raising the bar for the doctors out in the field and learning, but now, because of the giant amount of data that they have accumulated, they're starting to put machine learning and artificial intelligence behind that to help advance research, to advance science. It's just one of many organizations around the globe that are leveraging the machine learning and artificial intelligence services that AWS provides. Now, like FIDI, many other organizations are looking for solutions. They're looking for solutions and capabilities, not only in machine learning, but in storage, education, and more. And we've seen a rapid increase of our customers now going to the AWS marketplace, an area that has over 1,400 ISVs that are publishing their solutions so that customers can go ahead and download instantly, 2:30 in the morning, have the tools they need for security, development, application, education, and others. In fact, there's over 35 different categories that now you can go ahead and drill into, start using today. The AWS Marketplace is a reflection of what we're seeing in a broader Amazon partner community. Amazon Partner Network, the foundation by which partners here in Canada, as well as around the globe, are now providing solutions for libraries and cataloging to the healthcare industries and more. You know, our partner network has tens of thousands of APM partners using the latest cloud technology to provide practical business solutions. Now, these ISVs build on top of our consulting partners. And you know, many of these are actually 2 doors down in the expo area. And during the lunch, I strongly encourage spending some time with them. Because as we've seen the partners continue to provide local solutions, they're also driving their understanding of markets. Take, for instance, the public sector competency. It's a competency that partners have to earn in order to go ahead and be involved in so many different government agencies and such. Over 550 partners have already attained this competency, and they're diving deep so that they can understand your business. It's an area that we're continuing to engage so that locally you can have the tools, the resources, the expertise to go ahead and accelerate your mission. Now, these are just a couple of them that I always enjoy chatting about. You know, Jour Terre is a terrific organization that worked with Link by Net to move their on-premise and their website over to AWS Cloud Services, reducing their operational costs by 15%. Or take Scalar's engagement with the Toronto International Film Festival. The film festival was being challenged. As that festival grew, their on-premise website was having troubles keeping up. A website that at times can rival some e-commerce sites that are out there. Scalar worked with them actively to move the websites and other applications over to AWS so that it could spool up or spool down exactly what was needed based on the demand. Also in a pay-as-you-go model, so they didn't have to go ahead and procure undifferentiated hardware in advance and then have to store it all until the next film festival. Or BC Hydro. BC Hydro worked closely with Trinimbus, one of our APN partners, in helping them drive new innovation in high-performance computing workloads. Before, BC Hydro used to have to cobble together lots of laptops all together to run new models that would take 20, 30 hours to go ahead and do. By moving to AWS, not only they're able to run these models in less than an hour at a cost of about $10 per time that they ran the model versus what they were paying, but again, they're able to innovate faster. They are able to go ahead and learn more rapidly and be able to help serve their customers out in the marketplace. Stories like these are just many of the unique opportunities and creative ways that customers right now are not only using AWS, but also going ahead and engaging our Amazon partners here in Canada. Our next speaker is going to share another incredible story that demonstrates even greater possibilities. By leveraging Amazon Web Services and working with artists and professionists around the world, this speaker and their organization was able to share rare artifacts around the world. Alexa, can you help introduce our next speaker?
Please welcome Mark McKay, Director of Digital, Art Gallery of Ontario.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Mark McKay, and I am the Director of Digital at the Art Gallery of Ontario, where our mission is to bring people together with art to see, experience, and understand the world in new ways. I'm here to talk to you today about how we use technology to support our mission, guided by our values of art, audience, and learning, and to talk about how we used AWS to bring our collection online. At the AGO, we have over 90,000 objects in our collection, and only about 10% of those are on display. We know that everyone can't come and visit us in Toronto, and it's important to us that we connect with people beyond the Greater Toronto area. In order to do that, we've developed a system to make our art more accessible and create learning opportunities around it. Now, we're not the first museum or art gallery to do this work, and we didn't want to recreate the wheel, so we did a lot of research before we began. We looked at software as a service and what other museums had done, and in the end, we decided to go the open source route. We started with a prototype for our Small Wonders exhibition, which was an exhibit on these small, very, very small prayer beads from the 1500s that are carved out of boxwood. We have a really large collection of these given to us by a donor who was keen to create the definitive resource on these objects. So our photographers at the art gallery, along with our curators, traveled the world creating a comprehensive listing of every known artifact in existence. My team was responsible for developing the digital tools that would enable scholarship and also serve as a prototype for bringing our collection online. The requirements of our collection system was that it had to work with our internal systems. We use TMS, the museum system, to store all the metadata of the objects in our collection, and we have a digital asset management system, or DAM, called Portfolio, And neither one of these systems had an API, so we had to develop scripts to pull the images out of these and CSV to contain all of our, with all of our metadata out of the TMS system. And in doing so, what we've done is we've built a system that can spin up a collection online with only a CSV and a folder full of images. Other requirements for our system was that it needed to adhere to the International Image Interpolation Framework, or IIIF, which is a standardized method of describing and delivering images over the web. It also has deep zoom functionality and the ability to compare multiple objects side by side. Our prototype went on to be featured in the New York Times and was a winner of a prestigious museum award. And it served as the foundation of our new content management system that powers our website and our online collection management system, both which are built around a principle called COPE, which stands for Create Once, Publish Everywhere, which effectively allows us to take any data from our website or from our collection and reconfigure it in any way we want and present it on any screen that we'd like. Our architect, Thoran, is our interactive developer at the AGO, and he built all of the technology that you see in our galleries, the iPads and stations and such. And he had dabbled a little bit in AWS before we undertook this work. But for our project of the prototype and bringing our collection online, Thoran really served as both our solutions architect and DevOps. He really learned through self-directed study. We carved out time in his schedule so that he could learn, and he read through AWS documentation, spoke to experts through the online customer support portal, read articles on Stack Overflow, but really the thing that was really the key to his success, and he wanted me to share it with you here today, is it was watching videos that made the biggest difference. Being able to see how people had configured things and to take that and apply it to the work that we were doing really made the world of difference. The way that our system works is we like to liken it sort of to Netflix, or at least how we think that Netflix works, where a movie studio will upload a massive high-resolution video to the cloud, where all sorts of processes happen in the back end in order to make those videos available for multiple devices and send them down across the world. Our system works in a similar type of way, where images and metadata are uploaded to S3, then Lambda extracts the metadata and sends the images to Batch, where Batch then takes these massive 300 megabyte TIFF images and then squeezes them down to 30 megabyte TIFFs or JP2s to be then served up onto our website in a more efficient way. Then this is then served through Loris, which is our image server, and the metadata is stored in DynamoDB, and then this is all sent into our website, which is built in Drupal. Based on the success of our prototype, we brought our collection online and put every object that's on display in our gallery online for people to see. We did this as part of the Canada 150 grant program and developed a learning portal for using our collection. And our education team created resources so that we could then deliver learning opportunities to schools in Northern Ontario through a partnership with Taking It Global. The second release of our collection and content management system is underway now. We've received funding as part from the Canada Council of the Arts through the Digital Strategy Fund, and we're working with a host of smaller cultural organizations like the Harbourfront Centre in Toronto, the Thunder Bay Art Gallery, Station Gallery, Museum London, to name a few, and we're really working to refine the tools that we've created so that it's easy for content authors to use, and we'll then be releasing this back to the open source community, looking at potentially doing this as a one-click install through AMI or CloudFormation in the AWS marketplace. The reason that we're doing this is that we want to reduce the cost of innovation so that we're not focusing, by building a community of users around the tools that we've created. By doing so, we hope that building off the technologies that we have, that other museums and cultural organizations can start at 60 or 80% with their innovations rather than having to rebuild things just like we did. We think that by doing this, we can then focus on delivering excellence to our audiences rather than focusing on maintaining and building infrastructure. Thank you. High five. There you go.
This is so cool. I don't know if everyone caught that Mark went ahead and mentioned. But they're taking a leadership role in packaging what they've gone through, the CloudFormation templates and more, and looking and putting up on the Amazon Marketplace. Just think of all the galleries throughout this beautiful country now that can go ahead and accelerate their collections being unlocked. Terrific, terrific work. So earlier in this morning's presentation, Teresa talked in regards to talent. We heard some really inspiring words from Jennifer and Athabasca University. And one of the core elements that we all collectively have to go ahead and ensure is that we have the talent ready to go ahead, current and future generations, to go ahead and use these marvelous cloud services, over 125 different cloud services that are out there. So getting started today, we have over 150 courses right now that you can go online and start watching, start learning, be curious. Now you may want to instead go and learn in the classroom. And we have a variety of different classroom courses that are available, coupled with classes that are via the web to go ahead and learn, all working towards a very valued certification, the AWS Cloud Practitioner. These are just a few of the ways to get learning. We also have coming up in a couple of weeks our annual Customer and Partner Education Summit called reInvent in Las Vegas. There's still spaces available to go ahead and attend. But if you're not able to go ahead and attend, a variety of the keynotes will all be broadcast via the web. Announcements on the latest cloud services out to our customer base. And that's coming up the last week of November, and I strongly encourage at least listening to some of the keynotes, best practices from around the globe of how enterprises to nonprofits, startups to governments are using cloud services. Another core area that we really believe in, it's a big difference, is how do we expand the cloud opportunities, especially to those underrepresented communities. Back in 2017, we went ahead and launched We Power Tech. And since then, we've gone ahead and trained hundreds of individuals around the globe on cloud technology. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, at the University of Ottawa, we have our next event, a discussion on how women can overcome the barriers assuming leadership positions. A very impressive panel of those in public, academia, private, and more. You can get more information on tomorrow's event, since it's just around the corner, by going to the womenintech.ottawa.splashthat.com site. As we think about helping on talent, a core element that we listen to our customers, governments, education institutions, and more alike, is to help provide the tools available for educators and students. And that's where we came up with AWS Educate, a program now that has over 1,500 universities around the globe sharing content, 50 universities here in Canada, and not only helping teachers provide labs, best practices, and more into the classroom, but providing students that have an interest in technology free access to all of our cloud services. It's an amazing opportunity for a student to explore, to go ahead and try, to innovate. In one of the latest surveys, it was a staggering statistic that coming close to 40% of new startups are actually, the ideas are coming in the sophomore year of college. A tremendous opportunity of innovation, and we're providing the tools so that students and faculty alike can go ahead and get started. We also are finishing off our learning pathways in French, and those will be available later in November. Additionally, we're excited to go ahead and finally say Alexa will be happy on this one. We took the steps and we have Alexa Canadian French voice model. So those developers that are currently working on new skills or skills that want to go ahead and reach the Canadian French market can absolutely go ahead and take advantage of it. We have a whole developer forum that's available. Now we continue to invest here in Canada, not only in our new services and our staff, as Teresa mentioned, the learning programs and more. And this afternoon we have a tremendous agenda. Actually got started this morning, a number of sessions, but we have 3 different tracks right after lunch to go ahead and participate. This room, side room, one in the back. But before we kind of wrap up, Alexa, is there anything additional that I have forgotten to mention?
Don't forget to join us for food and drinks at the reception on the Expo Hall floor at 4:30 p.m. to meet and mingle.
Terrific recommendation. Thank you, Alexa. And thank all of you for taking time to join us this morning. I hope that you have a terrific day of learning. Lunch will be right down the way, and I encourage as well, take time to visit the partners in the Expo area to help see where they're bringing innovation of all this wonderful AWS cloud technology. Thank you.